I was doing a project called Language Aid. Office was in Powell Street. So I was working with the senior citizens in Powell Street, Issei. Then one day, Tamio Wakayama walked into my office. That's why I met Tamio Wakayama. He was curious why I was working in Powell Street. So I think we had a long discussion, and I was telling what I was doing, and I was hearing and discovering. And then I think I might have told the story of the one man I encountered on my visit to Riverview. And it's a mental institution, and outside it was a huge institution, and I went as a Japanese-speaking worker to meet a Japanese patient in Riverview. Then I was introduced to this old man. He would not talk to me much, so we go outside the ward in the garden, walking behind him. Then I realized that he couldn't speak much English, so I would start talking to him in Japanese. Then he would stop, he would say, "Don't talk to me in Japanese, because everybody's watching us." So I realized he was paranoid, speaking Japanese, being Japanese. This was 1973. Then, so I got very curious about his background, and I checked his background, then realized that he was arrested like 1941 during the War Measure Act, that every Japanese had to be carrying identification card. Whether you were born in Japan or not, or Canada, you had to carry the identification card being of the Japanese origin. You know, so he wasn't carrying that day. He got arrested because he couldn't speak Japanese. My guess is, so they put him, I'm sure he went crazy. So they put him in Riverview. And I don't know his family, what everybody was so busy sent to the camp, and nobody could pay attention to this man, little man, who was left behind in Riverview. And so I'm meeting him 1973, so it was like 34 years he was in Riverview. So I think I told that story to Tamio. He didn't say much, but he was quite shocked. So I thought about him, and why he's not telling me his story. Then one day I went back, and they told me he stopped eating and died. So of course I felt so guilty. Why I couldn't help more. Why I couldn't get him out. And that he came out in my dream and just stared, like without saying much. And I suddenly realized that, you know, all these people were totally innocent. Canadian citizens or Japanese, and confiscated their property, sent to the camp, and he was one of them. One day, he came to me in a dream, stared at me. Suddenly, a horrible thought struck me. And I said to him, all these years, all you wanted me to say was that you were innocent.